Welcome back to FFOT3, and today we will be looking at line of sight and spotting. In order to shoot at a target, it must be detected. To be detected, a stand must have line of sight to it. Smoke and cover block line of sight. Friendly and enemy stands do not block line of sight. Cover blocks line of sight at the edge of terrain. Once a stand is spotted, its position is given away and it is detected to all stands. In this example, the trucks are spotted by the recon stand and detected. The ATGM team does not have the visibility to spot the truck itself, but it does have line of sight and a detected target, so it can make attacks. When checking to see if a stand has line of sight or is detected, start by determining the maximum line of sight. The maximum line of sight is usually laid out by the scenario designer before the start of the game. Then, determine the type of stand you are targeting and if it qualifies as moving. A stand that ends its move in cover counts as stationary to the shooting stand. If it moves and ends outside of cover, it counts as moving. Here's an example. This recon stand cannot see the trucks behind the light woods, which count as cover and block line of sight along the edges of the wood square. The truck moves in between the tree stands and ends its move. The trucks are both detected and count as moving. Backing up, the truck instead moves into the tree stand, ending its move at the front edge of the woods. The trucks are detected and counted as moving in cover. They are visible up to 20 inches away, so long as the scenario visibility limits allow. In the final example, the trucks start behind the trees and out of line of sight. While moving out, they are detected by the recon team. The recon team has no overwatch to attack them, so the trucks continue their movement. The trucks end their move out of line of sight, so they're considered undetected and stationary. If another stand moves up and attacks it during the opponent's turn, they will use the stationary distances to detect the trucks. Finally, add any modifiers for troop quality and stands labeled Recon. Smoke blocks line of sight. Optional rules are available for vehicles that have the lowercase d equipment to deploy a smoke screen in front of the vehicle with smoke dischargers once per game. An additional option is multi-spectrum smoke, which is available for 1980s and onward equipment. Multi-spectrum smoke negates spotting and roll bonuses to thermal equipped stands that can see through normal smoke screens. When dealing with terrain, most terrain that provides cover blocks line of sight at its edge. Stands in contact with the edge of terrain can be spotted. Stands in cover can see 2 inches into the cover they are occupying. Line of sight stops at the edge of terrain from both sides. In this example, the recon team cannot see the trucks, while the trucks cannot see outside of the woods. The trucks can see 1 inch to the edge of the woods and 2 inches deeper in. The trucks move forward to the edge of the woods. The truck can see 2 inches into its cover, and both the truck and the recon stand can see each other. Terrain height is described in levels, the ground level being height 0. The height outlined in the chart describes the top of the terrain feature, not the bottom. So if swamps have a height of 1, despite usually being at ground level, it's assuming the mangrove trees creating a canopy over it. The same goes with forests and towns. The game rules outline that terrain be made of foam blocks, bottle caps, or other household items to easily define terrain levels. If your board looks a bit more flowing, then agree with your opponent beforehand on terrain heights and ridge lines. Ridge lines give cover and a 4-up terrain save, but for the purposes of spotting, stands in base contact with them can see over the terrain and be seen. This recon team can see the trucks from the ridgeline. If it tries to spot from a height 1 at a stand hiding behind another terrain feature of height 1, its line of sight is blocked. To determine if a stand can see over terrain, determine if the terrain is over or under half of the distance to the spotting stand. In this example, the terrain is farther from the stand, so the recon team cannot see over it. In the next example, the terrain is closer to the spotting stand, so the spotting stand can see over the terrain and detect the trucks. Some last notes on reconnaissance stands. Stands with the recce rule are not subject to unit cohesion, but more importantly right now, they can see it 1 inch from the base of the stand. This rule is to prevent recon by death, or rushing units into unwinnable situations just to detect targets. This might be in the books for 1960s Soviet forward elements, but it serves its function in the game. Know, however, that while a recce unit might spot stands, it must engage stands from its base if it uses its weaponry. In the next video, we will take a look at terrain and movement.